Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised, and, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Glamorized and embraced by Hollywood, feared in the underworld, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was one of the most powerful men in America. He was also one of the most hated. The man who gave birth to Las Vegas was gunned down in the luxurious home of his glamorous lover. Almost 80 years later, his murder remains unsolved. Who killed Bugsy?
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pots Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hey everybody, good morning. It's Tuesday morning brew. I hope your coffee because we're gonna hang out and have a good time and nerd out, talk about comics, Kickstarters, and all sorts of goodies. I'm excited. I have a new person on the show who also writes apocalypse fiction, and I can't wait to pick Sean's brain. But before he comes on, I just want to give y'all an update on Path of the Pale Rider. I ordered a bunch of the merch, so I should be getting let's see what's coming this week. So I should be getting whiskey glasses this week, temporary tattoos, the buttons. I ordered stuff to do more hot sauce, and I've been working on not just one additional hot sauce recipe, but 2. So I'm going to probably premiere those pretty soon. But the chat in the group, I put up a poll and we were voting on what to name the next sauce. And it was a mango habanero was the winner. And right now it's lined up to be Meet Your Maker mango habanero. Fun times. So there's that one. And then I have another one that I'm working on as well. So should be saucy around here pretty quick. I'm excited to test those out on the market. I'm excited. And then other than that, we're just waiting for Kickstarter funds to come in so we can order those books. Everything's all lined up. I've already been talking with Hades. Everything is uploaded and just waiting to push the button. So that's exciting. I'm excited that it's going to be a quick turnaround. I think I have to order like some stickers, the Big James stickers, and then I think another sticker, and then that's about it. Everything else is done. I have like a couple more of those handmade books to make. I got slowed down because it was Easter and birthdays and end of Kickstarter, and stuff piles up. But anyway, so this one is going to be done really quick, and then we'll be gearing up for issue number 5. Just a reminder that the pre-launch link is active for issue number 5. I always forget to grab it in advance. So let me grab it real quick and I'll drop it in the chat. Just you can sign up to be notified when we launch. But again, I'm everywhere on social media, so you will know when we're ready to launch. I'm always pretty good at letting people know the date and the time. So here's the link real quick. I haven't hooked it up to the short link yet, so it's that giant freaking link. There it is. Got to say everything twice. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so that's that. So make sure you sign up. Issue 5 is crazy. As I said before, where we pick up in the story, we're going to catch up in time. We're going to find out what Dwayne Fink knows about the apocalypse. We might see a few familiar faces. It's not all going to be good stuff. Anyway, so that'll be coming along when we're ready. We want to make sure everything is fulfilled, everything is caught up from all previous campaigns before we push that button. So today I'm going to talk with the very friendly Sean Wood about his campaign and his story, The Fog Within, number 1 and 2. Sean, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great this morning. I've had some caffeine, so doing good.
Nice. Yeah, I had 2 cups. I'm good.
You have had caffeine?
Oh, I've had 2 cups coffee already.
I think this is big enough to fit 2, possibly 3 cups of coffee. So I'm probably 2 cups in.
Nice.
Right. Where are you in the country? Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah. So I'm in Virginia.
Oh, you're in Virginia. Okay. So what's the weather like for you today?
Today it's normal. Yesterday it was hot. Today is a little cold. We're near the water, so it's every day it's up and down. Good old Virginia weather.
I feel like there's a lot of places where it's like if you like the weather, blink and it'll change.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. It just doesn't stay that way. So that's exciting. The East Coast and over by the water. Oh my goodness. You're not in the path of that eclipse that's coming. It's going to miss you.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Yeah.
I'm in Texas and I'm right in that path. But I think it's going to be cloudy is what they're predicting for us. So I don't think we're even going to be able to see it.
Yeah. No, I always miss those kind of things anyways. I always find out the day after, like, people post whatever pictures like, hey, look what I saw. I was like, oh, cool. I'm glad I knew about this ahead of time.
Well, they're predicting all sorts of crazy stuff to go along with the solar eclipse this time. So I don't know. Everybody internet is an expert these days, and they're all
Oh,
trying to get everybody to panic for views.
of course.
So I don't know, but there are a ton of people coming to our area just to see it, and I hope they're not disappointed. I feel so bad.
The clouds.
I have friends coming in from like Oregon, for the eclipse, and it's like they're gonna come all the way to Texas for the week and see nothing. Sorry, guys. So let's talk about comics. This is the first time you and I have gotten to interact together. So I'm excited to meet you and to hear your origin story and to kind of pick your brain about your apocalypse writing, because that's where I live too. So why don't you start at the beginning and tell us how did you get into comics?
So comics in general, the origin of that would be my dad. I was pretty much born a nerd. I didn't have an option. He said, "Here's a comic. First day you're born, here you go." But so he grew up, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and buying everything that was coming out because it was that cheap back then. You just got everything off the shelf. So he had probably 20,000 comics or so by the time I was born. And I basically when I got old enough, I would pick through them, and it would take 2 days just to look through all the comics of what I wanted to read. So like I said, I didn't really have,
I was going to say that's kind of like the opposite, where it's like, some people find like one specific comic and go from there. Good morning, Doc. But you had just like drinking water from a fire hydrant. You know what I mean? Where so much. So how did you pick and choose from that?
The pretty art, of course. That was the easiest way, being that young. But I would say the thing that I liked the most when I was the youngest was X-Men.
X-Men.
I always, like the 70s and 80s, that was the best. And then when Jim Lee came out in the 90s, that was just insane. So that was the easy pickup for me for those. But yeah, I would just go through everything and see what was cool, and then try to see what I liked. I mean, he had everything you could possibly think of. The only thing he didn't have was Archie comics, but other than that, he had everything that was out. So
Archie is kind of its own thing. You know what I mean? It's like when I think of comics, I think of like Spider-Man, Batman, X-Men, Marvel. You know what I mean? Marvel, DC, or when we were growing up. And then there's Archie, which was there the whole time, but it's just like you probably either read one or the other, not both.
Right. It's cooler now, but back then it was one or the other. Yeah.
It was like, who's reading that?
Right.
Give me X-Men any day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so I read all his. I was actually my middle name is Logan because of Wolverine. So, it kind of, So I didn't have an option. Which I'm totally cool with.
He's like, you will read X-Men. So.
Yeah.
It's very well.
So that's how I got into comics, because it was just already there, and I didn't have to go searching for all the cool issues that they're already at the house.
It's funny though, because a lot of times kids will push back. Did you ever have that pushback? You know what I mean? Like, because let's say my parents were really into like music. And so I naturally did music as a child. And then eventually, like, you try to find your own thing. You're like, this is my parents' thing. Where's my thing? And either push back against that. It's either you embrace it, you fully embrace it, or it's just like, no, this is my parents. This is nerdy, and I want to go do something else. Did you have that period where you were like, this is dumb?
I mean, so by the time I was like a teenager, I wasn't reading it at the moment, and I thought it would be cool, and I'd be a poser of skateboarding. I didn't skateboard, but all the Tony Hawk games were coming out and everything, so I wore all the stuff. So for a little while, I didn't read comics. I came back to it as an adult. Funny thing is, my wife, when we got married when we were 20. I'm 35 now, and when we got married, we bought a house. And the first thing I did was I went back to the comic book store I used to go to as a kid, because it's down the street. And I started buying comics again. So she didn't realize she married a nerd until after the marriage. So now I'm a full-blown nerd. And, it's been 15 years of buying comics every Wednesday. And she didn't realize.
You did the bait and switch. I'm totally normal, honey. And then you're like,
I'm
this
the cool
room now
kid.
belongs to comic books. Like,
Right.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
So at what point? So, okay, so here you are, you're a young man married at 20, you bought a house, you started reading comics again. Were you in the workforce? Were you like, what were you doing at that time?
Yeah, so
Work-wise?
I worked for a paint company, and I was slowly moving
Yeah.
up into that. So of course, that's not the
Normal.
thing you yeah, you don't normally think when you're growing up, I'm gonna work for a big corporation or anything, you know. But it's worked out. So my day job it helps paying the bills, and then I can do the fun stuff like making a comic now. So
Right. So at what point were you like, I want to get into comics? Like, I want to write, I want to work with the
yeah,
team,
so
you know what I mean? Do my own thing.
right. So I never really thought it was an option. Like I said, I've
Yeah.
pretty much my entire life have been reading for the most part, and obsessed over comics and storylines and all that kind of stuff. But I never thought it was an option. So the first time I thought it could be a thing was I was reading Walking Dead Deluxe when it first came out, and that was around COVID
Yes.
time. And
Yep.
I was getting it because it was in color because I read them all when they were black and white, and I just wanted to
Yep.
see the difference. And plus, I'm trying to collect them for my son when he's old enough. Right now, he's 9, so can't read that yet. But
Maybe not yet.
yeah, maybe next year.
But there's kids out there that are like really into horror
Yeah,
comics and zombies and especially The Walking Dead. It's crazy.
yeah,
Anyway,
that's
please
true.
continue.
But so I've been collecting those more of him in mind. And at the
Yes.
back of each issue, Robert Kirkman has the outline for each issue, just one page, like one line per page or per page for the book, and explain what he was thinking of in his process. And I was like, oh crap, it's that easy to start. Just have a simple outline. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the thing. And then Substack was coming out at the same time, and Scott Snyder and Brian Michael Bendis had classes of how to write. And so I just signed up for those, and I just learned about Kickstarter after that, and just kept on snowballing after that.
That's awesome. From the chat, Hugo says, how did you manage to hide your nerddom for that long? And how do I sign up for your newsletter, Sensei?
So that should be a good a newsletter. How to fool your family and friends until it's too late.
Until they can't back out. Oh
Right.
my goodness. It's either
Um,
you find someone who is the same level of nerd as you are.
Right. That's true. In my area, like especially now, so my comic book store, I still go see the same guy, but during COVID, he shut down, and now he goes from place to place. And so he has like 20 or 30 guys that he still sees, but he drives to us. So I got like a trench coat guy with comics every Wednesday, which is cool. But that's I always say, I'm going to my my drug deal after work, you know. But so it's in a parking lot and everything. But it works for him. There's no overhead, and he still gets the same.
That's
book.
true.
So same discount and everything. But I don't have that same every Wednesday going and hanging out with, you know, all the guys after work and just nerding out on those comics locally. So that's kind of a bummer. So it is kind of hard. But now being in like different groups online and Facebook and whatnot, and just meeting so many people with the Kickstarter fandom has been very helpful in that aspect. But yeah, with my wife, it just so happened I just turned off the nerd for a little while, and then I found myself after I got married.
Well, and I think that in a relationship, from my experience, because I'm also married, and I've always let it know that I am a nerd because it's much cooler to be a girl nerd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my husband never had a problem, but like when I started nerding out, it gave, I think he felt he could also nerd out as well because I, you know, on face value, back when we were young, nobody knew how nerdy we were. But it's like when I started becoming more like nerdy and outspoken nerdy, then he was like, okay, I can too. So hopefully your wife has found her a hobby, whether it's plants or knitting or whatever, cooking sourdough. She has her niche where she can nerd out about that. And it's like, that's cool, honey.
Yep, exactly.
You gotta let everybody have their space, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I need to know, did your story, when did your story develop in that whole process?
Yeah, so I'm also a runner. I trained for
Okay.
marathons a while ago. I don't have time for that now because I'm writing the comic
God
stuff all
bless
the
you.
time.
I
But
hate running. And I always tell people if they see me running, they should also run because
right,
something is chasing me that I can't kill. So please
exactly.
run. Right. So, okay.
Um,
So you train for marathons and
yeah, so that was my obsession for a little while, for 3 or 4 years, and I finally made that goal. And while I was running one morning, I was already doing the writing class and stuff, and I was trying to think of ideas because your mind just wanders as you're running for like 12,
yeah.
12 miles, a couple hours into it. Yeah, it'd
Well,
be like 2 hour training days in the morning. Well, one day it was a foggy day, and my mind just wandered, just thinking about the fog, and thought, what if I ran through this fog and I was in the future? What would it look like? And that was the
huh.
spark, and just my story just went and never stopped. I'm always thinking about it ever since then. That was a little over a year and a half ago now that I had the idea, and then I just went full in on everything. And like I was telling you behind the scenes, like I just every day for the first issue, I was learning something new of what I needed to do for the next step. So
Yeah, that was another question I had is what resources did you use when you were trying to, develop the story and once you had an idea that you wanted it to be a comic book, how did you teach yourself that method? I had to do the same thing, but I'd love to hear, from you what your process was.
yeah. So at the beginning, I was just by myself because I didn't know anybody on Kickstarter. I didn't have any groups, of course. So there's different, guys on YouTube. Matt Garvey was a big one that I used. He basically tells you how to do every step of the process, and like DPI, you're gonna print at 300 DPI typically, and instead of RGB, was it MCYK or whatever
EYMK.
yeah,
Hmm.
the colors and everything like that, and who does what part of the process, and how to find certain groups. That
Hmm.
was the biggest step, was finding an artist, of course.
Yeah.
Facebook was huge on that, just searching constantly, trying to find somebody that's worth it, and just messaging and just building that crew. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
YouTube and Facebook.
So how many people are on your team now?
So right now for issue 2, we've kind of narrowed it down. So I have my artist. He's the penciler and the inker. He does it traditionally, and it looks insane. And he does it all. Each page he does in one day. Pencils he shows me in the morning, and inked he's done by the night. And
Holy
it's just
moly.
yeah, it's insanity. But his name's David Dion. So I found him. He was my original penciler for the first issue. But he didn't ink it the first time because he said that he had so much going on. And now he's like, I want to take ownership of this. And I said, go ahead. That's what I wanted in the first place. So it's perfect. And then my colorist, Josh Rodriguez, he was my colorist for the first issue too. And then I have a letterer. He goes by Letter Squids. And I have a friend that's an editor named Lindsay. And that's basically it. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a good sized team.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's how do you are you the one that kind of manages everybody? Are you like the project head?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything, which is fine with me. I like having ownership of my own book, of course. But it is a lot of times because, like, if I get in one day, I'm at work and I'll have my penciler and inker, messaging me and showing me stuff, and my colors are showing me another page at the same time because, they're catching up to each other. It gets a little insane sometimes. Plus having family and kids, and it's a lot.
And then marketing and building Kickstarters and fulfillment and I actually I have a video about that. I'll show you. It's fans love it. We're not there yet though. We'll get there. I would love to have you pitch us the story. I'm going to bring up your Kickstarter page. Okay. This looks gorgeous, by the way. I'm going to adjust my screen size here and make this bigger. Ta-da.
Whoa.
There we go. I was like, zoom in. But just this one image looks amazing. As Hunter learns of the fog, the rebels attack the regime in this mysterious future. G.I. Joe meets X-Men in the apocalypse. I'm already intrigued just off of that one line because
Yeah, so I would say Timothy Fling, he's the one that told me the G.I. Joe part. I didn't see it in the first issue, but he read it and he was like, yeah, it's a big ensemble cast. It's not just Hunter, because he's new to the whole world and these rebels have been there the whole time. So they already know who they are. So that's why it's more an ensemble cast. But I've been saying G.I. Joe or Bad Batch, really.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's like a team that works together to fight back. That's cool. Yeah, my business card, I'm dressed up as Baroness. So I was like, I have the G.I. Joe connection. I love X-Men, like, and of course I write Apocalypse. So I'm just like, okay, you just check 3 boxes for me. So
nice.
Let's play the video real quick and then we can dig in. I'm ready. Woohoo! I love that music too. It's like I was rocking out in the background.
Right. It's funny every time I see the video. It's only 1 minute long, but as you know, it took 5 hours of my life to make that video.
I was gonna ask you, like, who did your video? Like, did you do it yourself or did you have someone else do it? Like, it looks really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it. Oh yeah. So
you did.
Yeah, I did the first one, of course, on the last campaign, and that was okay. I used the same app to use it. I used InShot, because that's what I was, learning from some of the YouTubers and everything. And I learned a lot more on the second time around. So I'm hoping the third one will be even more professional. So
that's how it always goes. You know what I mean? The more you do videos, it's like, oh, I learned so much that I can do next time.
Yeah.
So I've been doing some green screening and I'm learning interesting things from there. So it's been fun. But yeah, your video looks great. And it's like, that's the challenge, is to make it interesting enough so people watch it all the way through. Because as we know, even with just a minute, it's like people only watching the first 10 seconds. It's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, with the dashboard, it tells you, how many people have actually fully watched. I think it's like 30% of the people have fully watched it, which is fine.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good number. I think like anything over like 22% is great. I think it's your typical, watch throughs. So yeah, I was like, I've tried everything, Sean. I've run myself over with a car in the first 2 seconds to see if people would watch. It doesn't work. Like, so they're just like, she died. Okay, I'm done watching. Like, really?
Yeah. It's like, let's get on with our lives.
Yeah. It's like, this is where we are as a society. So give us the pitch of how this world works. Like, give us the pitch for this book. I'll just be quiet.
So in the first issue, we explain there's a catastrophic event that happened in the present. It causes an infection. The government doesn't know what's going on. So instead of trying to handle it and take care of it, they just wall up the town of Brooks and say, you're on your own. Good luck. And so a couple of days after this event happens and they're starting to build the wall, Hunter runs through this fog. Go figure, he's a runner as well.
Right.
So he runs through this fog and he ends up 26 years in the future in the first page. And he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how he got there or, anything of this world. So that's the first panel of the first page is him being pushed through the fog. The rebels know that he's going to be there, and the soldiers for this new ruling regime that's in place now is they call the swarm soldiers. The rebels are there, and they try to take him out of the area to safety, and they take on these swarm soldiers immediately. So I try to throw you into the action as soon as it starts to get to your intrigue, and then it goes into the world building and understanding, what's going on and who these people are. But the rebels, they know he's going to be there for this prophecy. There's this prophecy that starts after the infection happens. You find out in this issue how the prophecy came to be, or a little bit about it at least. And now Hunter is learning that he has this fog within, hence the name. There might be other reasons for the title as well in the future, but that's down the road. Exactly. But the fog within that he has, he's learning about that ability. He's trying to gain the trust of these people that believe in him. He doesn't believe in himself. And the rebels, in this issue, there is an attack on some civilians that they need to help with. And actually one of the pages shows, a little bit of that. We'll get to that a little bit later if you want. So it's further down. It's that's the event. So we go in deeper into the event in this issue, explaining when it actually happened, because the first issue showed the aftermath of the attack and how everyone's sad and everything that has happened. Morning. So that's the page where they start to help. The funny thing with this page is the character that's being taken by the swarm soldiers. His name is Gary. He was a random screamer in the first issue, and my son became obsessed with the character and would want to see him every night at bed. And he said, "Let me see Gary." And he blew up his face of him screaming. So I told my son I'd have Gary in each issue now. And my thought is going to be the drawn-in page, whatever page Gary is in will be the page that I have people drawn into.
That's hilarious. I like how you're starting like that tradition, like find Gary, and then that's where you get drawn in.
Right. And the funny thing is, his favorite Christmas present, I got him a shirt that had the screaming face of Gary, and that's all it is. And he wears it everywhere and tells everybody about my comic. He's like, "You have to buy his comic. You have to see Gary."
How old is your son?
He is 9 years old.
That's okay, and that makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah.
My daughter is 10. I have a 10-year-old and my daughter is 6. My other one is 6, but she's going to be 7 next week. Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but I get it. Like the kids are so funny at this time, or they're so excited about it, but that's hilarious. His sense of humor is so funny. He's like, "Look at Gary."
And he has all these ideas for Gary. He's like, "You gotta do this, you gotta do that." It's like, I don't know if that really works for the story, but I'll at least put Gary in there.
You could have like a side quest, like you ash cans, like the Adventures of Gary.
I thought about that. So like he doesn't do a whole lot at the beginning, but in the story I've outlined every page for the whole 12 issues that I want to do. And his storyline does progress by the end.
That's hilarious.
So because of my son. Otherwise there wouldn't be a Gary if he didn't bring it up. So
there would have been the screaming Gary in issue 1, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Hilarious. All right, let me scroll back up because we skipped some stuff. All right, let's go back. Sorry. All right. So I love how you've been updating people too. So 4 free indie books, scroll down for more info. Cool. Yeah. All right. And the book is 24 pages. Beautiful. Let's look at these covers. So, and I love how you named it The Fog Within. He runs through a fog, but he also has this fog ability. Mm-hmm. Clever.
Yeah. It took a while for the title. I was going to use just The Fog, but the editor that I was talking to for a while, he's like, yeah, it's not a comic or anything, but of course the Fog movie
Yeah.
and everything. It's not a good idea. You want to have your own thing. So it took a while to get
Well,
that third word for the title, but I think it
yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, I get you, because naming the book is the hardest thing. You always have to like find your Google ability. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like people type in the Fog, what pops up?
Yep.
And if it's not you, time to switch the name.
Yeah. That, and of
I went
course,
through the
like,
same thing.
yeah, I always have the idea that, I would like to get published. If not, I'll just keep on doing the Kickstarter, but I would like to
Right.
get published in some way too. And if it's the same title, they'll tell me to change it more than likely. So I need to have one that's my own thing on that aspect too. So that was
Yeah.
the thought behind it. But with the covers though, so the first one is going to be the story cover for each issue. And then the other two, the variant covers, are just completely fun. The second one I absolutely love, which, funny story behind that one. So I had all these podcasts lined up to start, and of course you do that 2 months or 3 months in advance or something like that. So I
Yeah.
have to be ready, thinking I'd be completely ready. Well, this third cover, I didn't have my third cover done by the person I was trying to go through. It wasn't working out, so I had to scramble, and I had two different covers going at the same time, and I said, whichever one came out first will be that third one, and then I'll be ready right in time for the day I said I'd be.
Right.
And this one, Goulart, I went to him pretty late for this cover, and he went super fast with the pencils and the inks. And it was 2 days before I was going to go live. It was going to be on a Thursday.
Oh my gosh.
And I got the colorist. He actually works for a lot of books on Mad Cave. And he said he was fast, but I don't know how fast he is until he actually does it.
You're like,
He did the
define
colors
fast.
Yeah, he did it in one day, the colors, and that was insane. So I was like, well, it's ready. The other cover's ready too, but the other cover makes a little more sense for issue 3. So I'm going with this one. And I've had a huge response on just this cover alone, and I love it. It's got Hellboy vibes. It's got the idea behind the monster. It was kind of like when I was pitching it to my penciler, was kind of Pit or Hulk, but its own thing. So there is a story behind what he looks like, and the armor and everything. But I'll go into detail further in the books.
Gotcha.
But for the first issue, I didn't have these guys, which there's 2 of them. They're called the Pets, and that's all that I say. They say that the Pets are ready, that the swarm isn't strong enough to take on the rebels, but they're ready to take them on. And that's how they turned out. So I'm glad that the idea behind it came out well, because it took a lot, and I had to pull up tons and tons of different images. Like, I want this little piece of that and this little piece of that, and but it's beautiful though.
I love the colors on this. I had a short 2 years where my husband and I lived in California, and we got to experience like a brush fire. Like they get big ones in California, and this is the color that the sky turns. And
dang.
everything gets covered in ash, so it has that like weird apocalyptic vibe. That's the color, so he captured it perfectly.
I just thought the style of Gilliard, that it wouldn't look right with my regular colorist, the way he does things. So I had to find someone that had this more of a look to it. It made more sense, I think, for the style.
And it's a good contrast between the two. So that's, I think, the goal of variant covers is to be something completely different than the other ones, but still capture the vibe of whatever is happening in the issue, to give people options. So it's like we have this blue, we have this futuristic, and then we have this orange, gritty apocalypse, like Ghosts of Mars.
Right.
I really dig it, man.
Thank you.
Pretty nice. And then what's close up?
So that's from Core Low. I found him on one of the other Kickstarters from our writing group. And he does some beautiful stuff. It's insane how detailed and realistic it looks.
Yeah.
So that
Like he painted this.
yeah, and it was insane. It didn't take him long either, honestly, for the work. But that is my villain in
Hi,
the book.
Glenn. Glad you can join
Um,
us, Glenn.
so
So these are
Damon,
the pets. These guys here on this.
yeah. So that's kind of like the idea behind it. So it's kind of like more of their soul vibe, I guess, in that image than what they actually look like.
Yeah.
But Damon is the villain, so he has some kind of fog type ability too. You find out,
Oh,
and so he's actually the ruler of the people. They're called Schism, is
nice.
the group, and he has the swarm soldiers, and he has these pets. So he hasn't come out too much yet. It's more of a slowly revealing what he does and how he does things. It'll of course
Cool.
build to that in future issues. But yeah, so he has this ability. He has this piece, this metal piece that is connected to his spine, and he has some part of the infection on his side where he uses the ability. And his power with the fog is more like Green Lantern style. So like he forms different things. So I showed one thing in the first issue. So I wanted to show it's not just that. He's making, a fog type sword, or he can do anything that he puts his mind to. And he has control of this because he's had this ability for 26 years to develop. Whereas Hunter is just thrown into this world and has no idea what's going on. So he's already strong. He's already in power, that type of thing.
He looks badass too. Like, I gotta say, I love the haircut and like that white streak. It's kind of rogue-esque. I really dig it too. And I was like, he looks mean. Here's the link, everybody. I dropped it in the chat. So if you want to come shop with us, come onto the Kickstarter and go look around. Here it is for you. But we're going to keep going through this because there's so much good stuff here. We kind of scrolled down to this briefly, but you guys can see, interiors look really nice. Oh,
yeah.
What in the...
Yeah, so he's having a conversation, and then all of a sudden, so I didn't put the first couple pages. I just put, certain ones to draw intrigue.
Yes.
But that's the event. So when it's happening, and in different areas, and I love the vibe of the last panel. So like something is falling towards everybody, and the glow effects. There's a book called the Cull, I think that's what it's called, by Image, and they had that on one of the covers as basically how it looked, and I really wanted that vibe, that more vibrant kind of neon-ish vibe to it. I thought it looked good.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Haven't you seen enough news? Like things that fall from the sky. Don't touch it. They're just all like, oh.
Yeah, right. It's like, what is this? It's peaceful in the last panel. It's chaos in the first two, and then peace and confusion in the last two.
Right.
All the same things happening.
Usually when you see a big mushroom cloud, the aftermath is not that great.
Yes.
So that's why I'm like, oh, so peaceful. Unless that's one of the side effects of that.
Maybe.
Interesting. Here we have another page.
Yeah. So that page, he's already at the Rebel base. So it's more futuristic. The guy that's yelling like this, his name is Zeta. He's one of the rebels, the elite rebels. So the elites have their code names. They're all the Greek alphabet. They're Alpha, Epsilon, and Zeta. And Zeta, he's the one that is like the tech nerd. He's younger than everybody else. He's not very strong, but you find out in the future part of this issue that he has his technology can take on pretty much anything. It gets pretty cool. And actually, the drone in there that's flying next to him, there's 5 of them, and in one of the other pages you'll see they connect as one thing, and they're called Addy. They have this spunky personality of their own, and I called it Addy because my daughter's name is Adeline. She's 3, and she is absolutely spunky. and has her own way, and you can't tell her anything. That she'll,
Gosh.
is the boss of everybody kind of thing, in a cute way. At 3, anyways.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
but,
It's adorable
so,
when they're 3, not so much when
yeah.
they're 13.
Yeah. So Addie, the identifiers for it is artificial detachable intelligence, and I use those
Ooh,
to make Adeline in there too. But it makes complete sense because they all connect to him and make like an Iron Man type armor in
cool.
different ways. So but he brings all the technology to this this rebel base, and so he's the mind behind all of it.
Glenn says, just wait until she's 16, then get back to us.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
gotta
don't
wait.
think there's any disillusion here. We understand
Yeah,
what it's gonna be
yeah.
like.
Oh,
We're just all gonna move out and let the teenagers deal with. No, just kidding. My husband's like, I'm gonna move out. I'm like, you can't move out. I'm like, you gotta stay. They're gonna hate me. I'm the mom.
Right.
I have 2
But,
girls. I was like, it's gonna be a nightmare. Just be
ooh,
prepared.
yeah, but
It's
I
gonna
got one
look
of
like
each. So.
this panel right here.
Exactly.
Right.
So this is the leader of the rebels. His name is Alexei.
Cool.
So clearly he knows how
What
to
he's
handle
doing.
things, and he's supposed to be training our main guy Hunter, along with the other elite rebels. So Epsilon's also in the back training. She's my girl character, and she's pretty punk. She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really didn't think of her at the beginning, but she's definitely turning out to be my favorite character out of the whole thing. And some people have reached out saying, she's cool. I want to be Epsilon, so I'm okay with that. So
Very cool. I love it. It's still in the beginning, so it's like we're learning about the characters. We get to see them train and come into their own and all of that cool.
yeah,
Oh, look, Zeta.
yep.
Hey, that's his cool suit.
And that's Addy. Yep. So that's him. He's about to go to this this battle. So he's putting on his suit. So in the first issue, I showed the drones swarming around him, but I didn't actually connect them, and he didn't do anything with it yet. He did something minor in the beginning of the first battle with one of the drones, but not the actual armor. So this is showing this is what he looks like, and we're gonna go into battle, and he's gonna kick some butt.
Very cool. And Glenn, thank you so much for saying that. Glenn is a professional artist. He's been in the art world for a long time.
Nice.
So when he says this means something. It's
Thank
some
you.
of the best
I
art that
appreciate it.
he's seen in a while. So very cool. Yeah, I mean, this looks incredible, doesn't it? And I mean, like the story is thought out and there's depth to it. Like side characters have meaning. There's some comedy. Here's the return of Gary.
Right.
I mean, it just sounds like it's a well fleshed out, well thought out story.
Thank
So
you.
this sounds like we should definitely get on board here, people.
Yeah. So the Gary page, that's Brody and Epsilon on that page. So this is when the fight starts. And the part of the end of the story is the next page, which is the double page spread.
Cool.
That's Brody. So Brody was introduced in the first issue. He's the guy behind the counter. He's the guy, working on the weapons and making them work to the best of their abilities. And Epsilon and him have this really good rapport. And she says, "Come on, you're gonna be on this mission." And he's like, "Okay." Jumps at the opportunity and shows him taking on everybody. And yeah, I love that page. That page actually wasn't a thing in the script when we were already drawing it and everything. It actually came to be because I was reading Incredible Hulk, the newest run, and there's a Ghost Rider and Hulk fight. It kind of acts like this, and it was just insanity. I was like, I have to have that in my book. So I reworked, I changed the double page spread that I was going to have, and I reworked this page to make it, and it turned out amazing. That's my favorite page so far, I think, of the first 2 issues.
Interesting. And he's not an elite because he doesn't have a name like they do. His name is Brody. But
Right.
he's still out there shooting and fighting and having a good old time. Well, that's amazing.
Yep. He's taking on the trash cans in the sky.
Yeah.
That's what I just had that one day. We already colored the page and we were about to go to lettering for this page. And I was like, I have to have some kind of quip. I had to say something fun. And I was like, they kind of look like trash cans with wings. So we'll go with that. Trash cans in the sky. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So, okay. So the audience for this is people that like stories with superpowers, rebels, dystopian futures, overlords, futuristic weapons, world building, comics like X-Men, Days of Future Past, Wanted, Once in Future, V for Vendetta, and Tokyo Ghost, all amazing. TV and films like Dark, Black Mirror, Arcane, League of Legends, also great. Last of Us, Children of Men, Equilibrium, love that one. Blade Runner and Snowpiercer, all of those. God, video games like Mass Effect, Horizon Zero Dawn, Gears of War, Rage, and Killzone. Wow.
Yep.
Yes, please. I was like, how do I wrap that all up? Yes, please.
Right. And some of that, so it won't be that at the beginning, but it turns into
right.
That. So I'm sure.
Right, and I mean, like
it's into.
Right. People also, I mean, they have to understand that it's these and it's like these, but it's also none of these. You know what I mean? It's its own thing. It's like, how do you describe something that hasn't been created before using things that have? So, it's like, if you like those things, you would like this, but don't expect there to be, equilibrium in this.
Right.
It's just that dystopian future type setting, which is super cool.
Well, like with the page with Alexi training at the beginning, that was kind of equilibrium-ish. I'd said to the artist, he more had Alexi has more of a fighting style with weapons, so it's kind of like gun fu. And he's like, "What the heck is gun fu?" And I was like, "Well, this." So I had to show him, shots of equilibrium just to explain that. So that's where that comes from.
Because I was like, Sean, if you're terrible, because equilibrium. Our main character thinks he's the good guy and he's really one of the bad guys. And I was like, did you do that to us? Sean.
Could be. Never know. I've already outlined everything, so I know how it's going to be.
Okay. Keep your secrets.
Yep. Maybe it's not at all. Maybe it is.
Right. But, I do that to people too. They're like, what about this? And I'm like, oh, so you're thinking now. They're like, is that a yes or a no? I'm like, keep reading.
Yeah, and with this, so I want to have a ton of action, but I also want to have a thought out mystery involved with this sci-fi world. So it explains a little bit more each issue about the characters and about the world and what's going on. So like the mystery, it helps with those turn page, the turning part of the book, and the final page of each issue is going to be insane. My favorite of all 12 that I've thought out at least so far is issue 2. That last page, really? I'm hoping it really shocks a lot of people of what actually is happening. You learn a lot more about the world from that last page. So
dun dun dun.
Exactly. That's the best part. That's the best fun that I'm having with all this is just how can I have those holy crap moments? But also make sense for the story, not just to make, not just to shock you, but add value to those shock value.
Well, but further the story. And it's like those moments I think are so important to get people thinking and then suck them into the story. You know what I mean? Like when I read, I'm just like, oh God, I need to know. Or like you get tidbits of characters. You're like, that's really interesting. I need to know more. Oh, he doesn't show us this one. Maybe they're in the next one, and it's just when it comes to like the future and you don't know what has happened and the character doesn't know what's happened. It makes it super interesting to put yourself in that world and kind of walk around to find out the why, how it all happened.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
So with that, those couple little panels there, that was from the first issue, just to show what it looked like and explain a little bit of some of the stuff. So like that first one right there at the top, that is literally the first panel of the book. Is he's pushed out of the portal and then it goes crazy from there.
You're like, welcome to the story, people.
Yeah. Well, that's what one of the things I learned from Brian Michael Bendis' class. He said a lot of times you get to a third issue and you wish that's where you started was the third issue. You're actually into the action and all the fun stuff. You actually want to start with that if you can, to start with the intrigue of everybody and keep their attention after that. So I ran with that. That wasn't my first thought when I was first starting to write all this, but it made complete sense.
Glenn. I know some people who should be pushed out of a portal. Interesting.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
I think we all know those people. I'm just saying. If there was one portal, right? Bye.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And then we get there and we're like, oh, why is this place such a shithole? Oh, that's right.
Because they're there. Yeah.
Right. We forgot. They've been here
Right.
for a while. This guy's awesome. What is the name of his channel?
True Believer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He does great reviews, and it's usually they're pretty short, under 10 minutes, and he'll walk you through and he'll give his recommendations, and he's great. Like, he did one for Path. I should have linked it here too, but you're so smart. Put it here so people can get like an idea of what they're getting themselves into,
Right.
And this is totally unbiased. Like, we don't pay this man any money. You know what I mean? So you don't pay for your review. You just send him the first issue and he reviews it. Says what he wants.
Yep. Yeah, he was very professional, very fast. And everything he said made sense. So he's not just saying, hey, this book is the best thing ever. But he explaining exactly why you would like this book.
Right.
So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, he does a great job. I recommend him too. What are my goals? We don't care.
There's no pictures. Keep on going.
Come back this. Right. Yep. And then the pie chart, it's like, what are we doing? Of course, art. Art is the majority of what the cost is. And then printing fees, merch, shipping, all of that. So yeah. Pretty straightforward. He will help us print the books and expand the series. Hope to make it to 12. Yes, I feel you, man. We're 12 as well for the first arc. And it's like, doesn't it seem like it's forever away?
Oh, yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, so the first issue took about 9 months just because I was figuring out everything. But once I fulfilled it and I, shipped it to everybody, I can streamline a lot more stuff than what I could before. So I'm planning to do I'm trying to do 2 issues a year.
It's typically how we run, but it's always like a goal to go 3 a year. I would love to do 4 a year, but it just depends on time and it's your team as well, because it's not, Sean's outlined to 12, but when it comes to an inker and then a colorist, it's like, and then they have lives and they have jobs and they have kids. You know what I mean? So it's a balancing act. And then once you get all done, then you got to wait for it to print. That's where I feel like my patience runs out, because I'm always like, pushing everybody to deadline. And like, we get there and it goes to edit and my editor's wonderful. And I always keep her like in the loop. I'm like, okay, we should be done this week. So she knows exactly when it's coming. So her schedule is clear so she can dive in.
Nice.
Right. And then I get it back and then it goes to print. And then we're like, now what? You know what I mean?
Now you're just waiting.
Yeah. And I'm like, I have heard nothing. Is my proof ready? Like, but that's part of the process too. It's like you're 37 on their list. You know what I mean? Right. So it's not like you put it in and they're right there waiting for it to come in so they can print your book. It's like,
the fog within is here. Let's go.
Right. I'm here now. Let's go. And they're just like, we'll talk to you next week. I'm like, damn it. So I feel like that's where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be done now. But so it's so hard, but 12, and it's like where we are, we're going into the next section. I feel like every issue we get further in and it gets better, and it's like you check that one off the list, but I always feel like it's a battle you want to enjoy the one that you're in, but then look forward to what's coming next too. So it's that I remember being in issue 2 and just being excited to be in issue 2. And now we're going into issue 5 and I'm like, can't wait. So I'll be there watching you like, okay, where are we at, Sean? Are we on issue 3, issue 4? Yes.
Right.
Let's keep going, because I need to know what happens next.
Yeah. So like timeline wise, I will, once I get funded for this one and I get the funds, then we're going straight to pencil. That's already completed. 3 and 4 for that first arc is already fully written out.
What? Wow.
So I'm gonna go to hopefully kickstart the third one in the summer. So like kind of like August, because by that time I'll have all these fulfilled, which I said July for this one. So as soon as all these are fulfilled, that's when I'll have the new Kickstarter going. And then I don't like the last quarter. I'm always kind of weary of that last quarter on Kickstarter, so I'm staying away from that.
I usually try to end my last one in October. I don't try to go into November or December just because people are now thinking about Christmas. You know what I mean? So there's not really expendable dollars at that point. But I don't know. It just depends. It depends on your fandom. I know people that run the Tom Hutchinson will run like a 9-day campaign and make 20 grand. And I'm like, okay.
Crazy.
And it doesn't matter. He can launch on a Monday and end on a Friday, and then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the fandom. But I think time to build that audience is really what's needed, because then when you have that audience, it's like, hey, we're going to launch December 25th. Okay.
Yeah. When you have 23 issues of Critter,
right, exactly. But
point,
until we're Tom Hutchinson, it's like, okay, I got a plan to be in February and out by October.
Right. Yeah,
and that's
great.
That's all I can do. So cool. We've been unlocking some stretch goals. What do we got here?
So I actually need to change the wording. I just changed the picture today because I changed my stretch goals to be a little bit more realistic, because I really want to get to some of these if possible by the end. So I lowered the goal so that we can get there hopefully. And I needed to change where I said we hope to reach 4,000. So it's actually now 3,500. But that's, I already wrote that out as well. I wrote it for anthologies for Epsilon's backstory, just because, like I was saying earlier, she's really one of my favorite characters now. So I've fleshed that out, and we have 12 pages. So I wanted to break it up between issue 2, 3, and 4, and then have it in the trade complete. That's the idea, to have her backstory. So we'll see if that works out. Either way, it'll get out there some way or another. But
right, because I'm sure it's already fleshed out. It's just a matter of putting it together and then the time frame. But that's cool. Would love to see more of her. I didn't know her hair was blue. That's awesome.
Yeah, blue and purplish pink.
Woohoo!
Yep. So these are the comics we've already unlocked. We're close to 75. I think we're at 64 backers right now. So hopefully we'll be able to unlock that soon. It's just an easy way to get more value to the book. Also, of course, showcase other guys' stuff. And then also gives me a reason to do more updates too. You know, when we get to that or get close to that, you can update everybody. Because I don't want to just have an update saying, hey, we're at this, we have this many days, let's go. You need to have a reason, add value to that too.
Right. People are like, yes, Sean, great.
Yep.
I know. Updates are always like a double-edged sword. You're like, hi, everybody, I hate to bother you, but this is going on, right? And some people are just like, delete.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to put like what I'm going to talk about in the description of it goes in their email, like this is unlocked or this is coming or go vote for this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And other times it's just like, look at this merch, so they know what they're opening.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like, why bother? Ooh, what's this?
So that's his inking. It's kind of long. It's like 6 or 7 minutes or so, but it's still really cool to see. That's one of the pages. Yeah, that's one of the pages that that I haven't posted yet with the colors on the page, which I probably will be doing at the end of the campaign. But that's a really cool page. It's got showcasing Zeta, and it's got Epsilon driving what I call the car's it's called the Demon.
Cool.
And it's kind of like a Mad Max type vehicle. He threw that in the first issue. There's a garage scene, and that car was there. And I never brought up that car, but I said, let's keep that car in here. And it's just really cool looking. And it's funny because I have a little bit of my entire family in the book. And my wife was like, I'm not in the book. And I was like, oh, well, I've got a car named the Demon. You want to be the Demon? But some of my kids think it's funny. It's like, look, there's mommy.
That's funny. You're like, actually, the car's name is Sharon. No, just kidding. Just your
Right.
wife's name, Phil. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
call it the demon, and then one person calls it her name, which would be funny.
Right.
They're like, "Why?" And they're like, "Car's a beautiful woman."
Right.
Gorgeous.
But
I'm Glenn. This is you would appreciate this. Glenn does everything traditional as well. Does some amazing art when he draws Hatch. So yeah, I could watch this all day.
yeah.
See, always good to see real artwork being produced because he's like digital.
And I like digital too, but yeah, I definitely like the actual pencils, the actual inks. Way more. Just so I had to have it this way. That's
Oh, let's go shopping. Available rewards. Let's go through them. So digital number 2 for $5. This gets you the current issue PDF. Digital catch-up for $10. The Fog Within 1 and 2 digital copies. Got a ton of people there.
Yeah.
$10. The Fog Within number 2 physical copy A cover. Amazing. Looks like you got a friend here.
Hey, stranger.
Hi. Welcome.
That's my dad.
Hi, Dad. Thanks for joining us. Fog Within number 2 digital deluxe. What's digital deluxe?
So it has some of the behind the scenes, so like some of the pencils, some of the inks, as well as the colors, and then I put a little description of like what my thought process was for this page and what was going on and the idea behind it. So I did that in the first issue too. So it's a PDF, but it explains more in depth and shows just all the other steps and some of the concepts. So like this one, Hunter didn't have the armor in the first issue, so that was the concept that he did for it. And the original monster concept is in here too, which actually completely changed by the time we went to the actual page. But just shows the whole process.
That's cool to see like the progression of how things change. Is like the monster, the first concept all the way through, like the execution into the book is always interesting to me. That's super cool. And I love the commentary. I always thought about doing that, but I didn't think anybody would care.
Right.
Like, in the back of The Walking Dead, when Kirkman always had like, he always had an excerpt, but then there was like letters from the fans. And they would write in and then he would answer them in the back of the books. And I'd always thought that was interesting, but it's like, I don't know if my fans would do that.
Right.
They'd just be like, let's smash things, Laurie. Okay. All right. Fog 2. The Fog Within number 2 physical copy, the variant B. So by Gillard. Did I say that right? Gillard?
I think so.
How do you say it?
Gillard Goulart.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to mess that up real bad.
Actually, I saw him. Gilliard, I found him from Travis's book, Travis Gibb.
Yeah.
He was on, I think it was Voodoo Nations, was number 3 and 4, the interiors and some of the covers. So that's where I found him. So everybody I found on Kickstarter, like all I do is search all the time, different people's Kickstarters. Like, who do I like? I want that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's such a great community. Like there's that chat group. And there's just a ton of people out there that are willing to share information and help promote and, give trade secrets and all of that good stuff and like bounce ideas. Like everybody's now doing plushies because Corissa Grant.
I haven't gotten to plushies yet.
You haven't gotten into plushies. You will, because she will pressure you in. I wasn't going to do plushies either until Corissa was like, I need a Big James plushie. And if you don't do it, I'm going to harass you until you do. It's like, all right, girl, I got you. So. The
only thing I think of that could even be a plushie in my book is just like the fog. So like it'd be like a fog pillow. That's all. But
what about the car? Make the demon.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I do have a standee. That's the closest that I got, which you'll see further down in the add-ons. Cool, but it's a 6-inch standee that I have. Closest thing to an action figure or a plushie that I got.
I was thinking about doing those too. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right, this is cool. Physical copies of 1 and 2. So this is your catch-up tier physical copy. 10 people in there. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's really my biggest tiers was the digital catch-up and then the physical catch-up. So it's exciting to have new people on there.
Yeah, that's always the best when people are like, they do the catch-up and you're like, yay, look at all these new people that I found my book.
Right, exactly.
Holochrome. Ooh, spot foil logo. Nice. 12-point
Yep.
holochrome cover C. That's gonna be gorgeous. You'll have to show that off on socials when you get it in. You gotta do like the tilts, you know what I mean? So you
Right. Yeah.
so people can
Show
see how
actually
it's shiny.
Yeah.
I still feel like they never do them justice. It's like hollows or the hollow foils and like the metal covers. It's like when you see them on socials and then when you see them in person, they're so much more stunning. Where it's just like it's shiny, great. You're like, no, it's not just that. And like you have to see it, touch it. They're amazing. All 3 covers. Ooh. For $35. Okay. That's that is inexpensive, people. That is why I said it like that.
Sorry.
Oh, Siri. Nobody asked you. That'd be a retailer bundle. I like it. 2 copies.
So that has issue 1 and 2. And then I have a question mark there because, you can pick which variant cover with that you want from either issue 1 or 2.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's smart too. Usually retailers, either they want all the variants or they don't. And it's like a lot of times I'm just like, I have a retail tier. It's just kind of bare bones. I'm like, but whatever you want, you just tell me and I'll build it for you. So I just want to remind people, if you're a retailer and you're looking to get the fog within, just contact Sean and he can put it together for you.
Yeah, of course.
Metal trading cards are bread and butter. These are awesome. And they also could be used as a weapon, people.
It's a ninja star.
Yeah, you could throw it. I just keep mine slicey with it. Slice. Physical metal cover. It's a metal cover of issue 2.
Yeah.
Metal cover and metal trading card. I didn't even read it right. Holy moly. For 35?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because I'm newer, so I can't ask for that $60, $70 like some people can do. So I'm just trying to get someone to want it, just to get it out there in the world.
Are you kidding me? These should go for you could probably do this for $100.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a steal, people. This is a steal.
I had cover C. Someone's bought the metal cover, but no one's got the other metal covers yet. So I really want to get those out in the world because I know that's
limited.
No. I mean, I could make them limited, but no. I just as many people that want them, the better.
Holy moly. T-shirt, card, and comic combo. Still really inexpensive. Wow. Physical copy of cover A, the Fog Within logo T-shirt, small through extra large option sizes will be chosen. Yeah, at the survey. Yep. And then the metal trading card. $45. Sean. Metal cover C. Yeah. This one too would be gorgeous. So you got the foil option and the metal option. Dang. And then get everything for $50. And then here's the standee. Where is it? Let's go find it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. 6 inches.
So
okay. That's nice. Where'd you get these from? I'm just curious.
So it's on, is it Voodoo or it's something like that? Voodoo.com. It's a Chinese company. I've seen a bunch of creators that used it, and I actually already got them. I got the 3-inch version just to see how they would turn out. And they turned out beautiful. That's the picture that's at my house. Not the greatest picture, but just to show, hey, it's real. It's not an idea. It's already been made. But that'll be the 6-inch version when I order it for the backers.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Kind of want to do those.
Yeah.
It's
pretty simple. I mean,
here. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, it's pretty simple to do. I mean, the only weird thing is you have to do it in millimeters. You can't do it in inches.
Oh.
So just know your millimeters when you go to the dimensions.
Go Google and convert it.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I was like, please convert. The Epic Retail Bundle. Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. So the first one I have, so if you've never backed it as a retailer, I have where it breaks it up between issue 1 and issue 2 to have both. Or if you've already backed it, which I've had a couple people back the first one, now you can get the second one for the same amount of issues.
Gotcha. Hey, here's your drawn in tier, everybody. This is super cool. $200 will get you drawn in tier and all this cool stuff. Holy moly.
Yeah.
You got physical prints of your page with you on it. That would be amazing. The Fog Within logo t-shirt and immortalized as a rebel soldier in the book. Death guaranteed? Question
So
mark?
not in this issue. That will
Not
be
in
in
this
the future.
issue, okay.
Yeah.
Because that was a
Yeah.
thing we were talking about, right? There's
Right.
people out there
Yeah.
that like, I want to be drawn in and I want to be murdered by zombies. And you're like, that's not even, I don't even have zombies in my book. And
Yeah,
they're like,
right.
zombies or no backing.
Yeah.
Wow, people.
So actually, one of them out of the two, they wanted to be killed. That's how they they talked
Yes.
about that. I said it's not going to be in this issue, but if you back this one and then at a smaller amount back maybe the next one or the final one of the arc, then I'll kill you. How about that? And they're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So
Right. I was like, we usually squish people in mine, and that's kind of the running joke is like we draw you in and we immediately kill you. I think I had one person survive and they ran out of the panel and they're the only one that has made it. It's like everybody else has been staked or, that's great.
right. Oh yeah.
They just come to expect it. Oh, look, here's your team down here.
Yep.
Little bio. Variant covers. And then, of course, the timeline. Yep, this is super important too. I always have this on my campaign. How are we shipping it? Gemini mailers, and it will be printed with Comics Wellspring. Awesome. Here in the US. Risks and challenges, minimal. Very cool. So once again, everybody, that was fun. We went shopping, but I just want to, here's the link one more time. And just a reminder, this.
Just back it already.
Because Pops isn't here in the background to tell you to back it. So there's that. I wanted to show you this one. Wait, let me go find it. Video, if I can find it, about my impression of what it feels like to be in the Kickstarter rotation. Here you go.
Hold on. I think I'm bleeding. Am I bleeding? Ow! Nose and lips! Okay, ow. Can I... Ow! Ow! Wait! Ow! Please, Mr. Hood.
That's pretty good representation for sure.
I feel like that's what I feel like.
Yep.
I was like, I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. Like,
I'd say it's more the wrench side of things, like dodge a wrench, dodge a ball, but it's definitely the same effect.
Especially the fivers at the end where I'm just like, wait, no, I don't need any of you. Stop.
Yeah. But I have 10,000 backers for you immediately.
Right.
Waiting for your call. Yeah, okay.
Send me $200. Right.
Yep.
So Sean, tell me the difference between running last campaign and running this campaign. Like, how do you see them different? Was there stuff that you wanted to do differently between the two campaigns and, things that you might do differently for the next one? Like, let's talk about it.
So this one, the big thing was trying to be on podcasts like yours. Because I really didn't get out there much on the first one because I really didn't have any contacts or really know what I was doing, when I started that whole process. And by the time you're live, there's no way you're getting on podcasts at that point.
Right.
People are smoked and everything, which makes complete sense. So that was a big thing for me. And I've done a ton, trying to do a ton just to get more awareness. Because that's the big thing. Because when I started the Kickstarter in the first place, I was like, oh, I'm going to make, this many thousands of dollars. I'm going to make bank. This is going to be easy. Everyone can do it. It's like, oh, crap. No, you have to do all of it yourself and say, hey, look at me for, a couple months before. And then, the month that you're live. So that was a big thing, just awareness.
Yeah.
So that, and then like the process of the book itself was a lot easier just in general because we streamlined the whole thing and I knew more of what I'm doing. I still don't know everything for sure, but a lot more. So,
well, and as soon as you figure it out, everything will change. But do it differently again. It's always adapting to what is current and new and trendy, right?
True.
Gotta have
Yep.
to like
Plushies
throw
in the future.
what do what?
I said plushies in the future.
Plushies in the future, who knows?
Yeah.
It just depends on what your audience specifically wants. Everybody's audience is different. And I think
yeah.
I agree with you that is the hardest part of being indie is finding that audience, letting them know that you exist. Because when you have a great product like you do, people will come if they know you exist.
Right. Yep.
And
If they
it's
know
hard
you
when they
exist,
find you after, where it's like, oh, is your campaign still live? Well, it ended 2 days ago.
Right.
Come in.
Yeah. It's like you didn't get all those emails and all the updates and the on Twitter and Facebook. I was on there every day.
It just cracks me up. I had one person, was it last campaign or the one before, that was like, hey, I went to that link you sent me and it didn't work. And I was like, campaign ended yesterday. They're like, oh.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but what can you do? You know what I mean? That's
At least
how
they
the
saw it
algorithm works. What's
Yeah.
that?
So at least they saw it eventually. It'll be there for the next one.
Yeah. Well, my
Hopefully.
question is, what do you do in that situation where someone's like, hey, your campaign ended yesterday, you know, can I still order a book, or what do you do in that
Right.
situation?
Yeah. I mean, I can't do anything yet, but of course that's the idea, is to get the website or
Website.
yeah, that would be the big thing, but I haven't done that yet. That's sort of in the works, but I'm still trying to play with that idea still. So
Websites are like the bane of my existence. Me and like half of the like indie is really good at them, and have like, if you ever go look at Matt Knoll's website, it's beautiful and it has like moving things and it's like well thought out and has like, you can search and categorize, and like all mine is just like, you go there and it's like, it's talking about last campaign, not this one, but the one before. Haven't updated it, but it's good.
It's a lot of work.
Right. So it's just, you know, hit or miss on websites. But that's always a great place to have. Like, I feel that way about my stuff, where it's like, hey, if you missed our campaign, you can still pick up physical copies from my website and I'll just ship them to you. So
right.
It seems to work out. Someone had posted something earlier. Where did it go? Oh, here. Is diamond still the best way to get comics into comic shops? What do you think about that?
I mean, I know there's diamond, there's Lumen. I think what I've heard, I mean, I'm nowhere near trying to touch that, because you have to have so many issues printed, and just the buy-in is way too large. But there's also like, other publishers and stuff, and that'd be the big way to get in, like Band of Bard's new thing, where they have like the co-op or whatever. So if you go that route, it's gonna be a lot easier to get in the shop because they're already there.
What's Band of Bards?
It's a publishing company,
Mm-hmm.
like a smaller indie publishing company, but they're definitely in the stores. But yeah, that would be, if I ever could get into comic shops like that, that would be the way I would be going. Because I mean, I've heard like Diamond, I think at some point, I don't know if it is now, but you had to have like 10,000 copies printed, or maybe it's like the minimum is 2,000, something crazy. But I can't afford to print that many. That's like more than my Kickstarter in general.
Well, and I looked into some distributing. It wasn't Diamond, it was the other one. And sometimes the Diamond won't even accept your stuff if it doesn't fit what they're looking for. And then with the other one, it was like they would print it, and you would need someone kind of as a distributor to print all the stuff and then warehouse it to hold on to it. But if they're eating that cost, then you make nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, they're the ones that's putting all the front end, and then they get the back end too, because they put in the front end. So if you don't have any money involved, you're not seeing a penny from it. So it's other people that are making money from your book, which when you think about it, that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I'm
it's
trying
like,
to go to like, I was gonna say, I'm trying to go like,
sword, though.
yeah.
It's like, if you could get it into comic book shops and people were purchasing it, they would be the ones that are keeping the profit. But then when you run your Kickstarter next time, would they come on board there? I don't know.
Yeah, I know normally what I've seen anyways is more it's one thing or the other. They don't do both. They don't go on Kickstarter after the fact from the comic book shop. I mean, some I'm sure do, but not the majority. So
I
my
I
goal is to get in
agree with
shops
you.
like locally. Just say, hey, I'm here. I could be around for a signing or anything that you'd want to do. So can you sell my book, please? That's all
Yeah.
I'm trying to do really for the retailers is more local than anywhere else. If they get it on the Kickstarter, then great. That's awesome. But I definitely want to be in the stores around me, which I have plenty of. So
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you
yeah.
have stores around you. I have a few, but I'm in this little town called Prosper, and there is not a comic book store. And I keep trying to pressure one of my buddies. He's not down in Fort Worth, and I'm like, "What about Prosper?" And he was like, "Do you have comic book stores there?" I was like, "Nope, it's a clean market for you." Like, what you're saying is like there's nobody shopping for comic book stores there. I was like, Charles, come on, work with me, man. Really
Yeah,
just
around
want you to
us.
come open a store so I can come hang out.
So so we're on a peninsula, so we have tons of different cities right next to us, and there's like a bridge between us. It's weird, but there's probably 30 stores, 30 comic book shops in like 45-minute to an hour time span.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
I know some
usually if
guys that
you
are in all of them, but
all of them, that's amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
usually if you like introduce yourself and you're passionate about your book and it's well made, which yours is, typically they're excited to have you there. Drum up some publicity for their store and say I local writer, local author, I can talk. Come in
yeah,
and I find that when I do table at um LCSs that I get people that are interested just merely because I'm a local author. And by the time they're done talking with me, then I have them, sucked into the story.
right.
So,
Yeah,
of course, if it's their thing, because some people are like, you do what? Western apocalypse? My kid's 9. And I'm like, not for him. Sorry.
yeah, right. Yeah,
No,
and
we do some
with
bad
mine,
stuff. No.
yeah. So another thing with mine, so it's got action, but it's not like completely violent. So like the age range is wider too. I did that on purpose. Like
Yeah.
there's no cursing in the book.
What?
It sometimes would make more, compelling, cursing and everything in there, and it'd be easier to get the point across, like the, oh crap moments. But I just stay away from that just so I can have a wider audience too.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
would you say is your age range?
I mean, I'd say teens to adults. So like 12 to the main audience, probably 12, 13 to 25, 30, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
really anybody that's older than 5 could look at the book and think it's cool.
The cursing comes later. That's usually when we're done with the book and Sean has left us on this cliffhanger, and then we're like, I need to know what happens
Yeah, that's
next.
from the reader saying it, not
Yeah,
from
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Glenn
Yeah.
also said with my magazine Crikey, I went straight to Forbidden Planet in subscriptions. Interesting. Diamond didn't want it. Diamond is very particular about their tastes, and they change.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
they're not the
that
only one around too now. So that's helpful to
right.
everyone that's trying to get into the shops, but it's still too much of a price point that I would even consider for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't know. I haven't found the answer to that either because I was looking into it and like, with Lunar, they were like, we could put your book into previews, but we'd also want a new cover. So you'd have to invest into a new cover for all the issues that you want to put in. So if we're on
Yeah.
issue 5, I got to do 5 new covers exclusive to previews. So it's like, okay, I'm talking like $500 to $800 to $1,000 or more, depending on the artist. And it's like, I don't have that to just dump into that right
Yeah.
now. So
I've really thought more in the future, not right now, but like when I have a trade, going the library route. That's the thing I'm interested in. Because they're still buying the books and they're not going
they're
to be
not
asking
buying
for
the book.
variant covers or no.
The library wants you to donate the book.
Oh yeah. Well, still, just more readers in general. I mean, that'd be
but
fine
then
too.
you
But
can
if you wanna ask for-
exactly touch a wider audience. Hopefully, if they can find your book. But again, it just depends on who's looking for it and if they know it's there.
yeah,
Because I have a couple libraries that are like, when your trade is out, let us know. You can donate it. And I was like, donate. Okay. Like, I'm still gonna do it, but I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
But just, to understand, like, you're not making any money off of that. I was like, okay, I get it. So what else are you planning on? So we have Kickstarter for 1 and 2. There's, I'm sure, Comic-Cons eventually in the future. It's hard to con with just one book. I've done it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes, I haven't done that yet. I did my first panel actually at a local indie con about crowdfunding last weekend. So that was cool. That was the first step
cool.
that I haven't done yet. I wasn't able to table because it was a free table at the indie con. It was at a local library. But I found out about it too late. So I couldn't register, but they let me do a panel. So that was cool. So I still got people looking at it and everything, and made some contacts with the local guys. But yeah, cons for sure. I plan on, by the time next year comes around, con season, I would have 3 issues in hand. So I definitely want to do some local stuff, and I wouldn't go too far, but definitely want to get it out there locally. So that's the plan.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now, where it's like I have enough books where I can make back a table, and so I'm doing local ones. So it's like I can drive there for the day. I don't have to pay for a hotel, and I bring my own food, so I'm not paying, exorbitant con food prices where it's like $25 for a burger and fries. No, thank you.
It's not even done.
Right, and it's gross.
Yeah.
So, yep. But I agree with you where I don't feel like the audience overlaps the same way, where it's like people that find you online are not necessarily at the cons. The people at the cons are not necessarily online. And the people in the local comic book stores are another batch. So I feel like you kind of have to find that balance between all 3. But it works well that way, because that way you're not burnt out on any one of those legs either, because it's real easy to get burnt out doing cons, and it's real easy to get burnt out constantly kickstartering and pushing, on social media. So finding that happy balance, I think, is important.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you balance between comic book, managing the team, and then family?
It's interesting for sure. The first issue, like I was saying before, was definitely a lot harder on all those fronts. And actually at work, when I started this whole process of actually writing and finding the team and learning everything at work, we were going through a remodel that we had to work through on a daily too. And that I was nuts to start the way I did, but I was like, if I don't start now, I'm gonna make excuses and I'll never do it. So I just need to push through, and it'll get easier as I move along.
Did it?
So yeah. And with like my team, managing them, they're in different time zones because they're around the world. So I might be messaging them the next day, or making some points or saying, hey, what about this or whatever. So that's fairly easy. But I try to answer as quickly as possible, because the quicker I answer, the quicker the pages are done, and the quicker the whole process moves along. And then with my family, I'm home every night around the same time, so that at least I have a regular schedule for work, and then I see them, before bed and everything, and have dinner together and that kind of stuff. So, but weekends I try to stay away from the actual. Yeah.
I want to say something. Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, I would say weekends I try to stay away from the whole process, just to be with family, because I'm off Saturdays and Sundays, so that works out that way.
I have to do the same thing too. I have to make a conscious effort to disconnect, because I feel like with indie comics being global, there's always someone that's active in times that you're not. And then of course there's a lot of people that this is all they do. Like, this is their profession and this is what they do 24/7. So some people don't unplug. And so I have to remind myself, like, how are they so they don't have kids. You know what I mean? So when it comes to you and me, when I'm like, I'm not available this weekend, and I'm not available most weekends, unless it's like Kickstarter where I'm actively campaigning, I'll put time aside to be on a podcast if it's, on the weekend. But typically it's like, I try not to work on the weekend and be there with my family, because they will miss you. I get it from my
Yeah.
kids all the time. They're just like, Mom, what are you doing tonight? Well, I'm like, I have this and I have that. And then tomorrow I have this. And they're just like, you don't want to hang out with us? And I'm like, oh, but I do. You know what? Right. So
Yeah.
it's that balancing act. George, the man with the collection of comics that got all this all started, you can also come along. I know this is the dream that you wanted. What's stopping you, man? Come along, you belong. There's no time to find comics. Everybody finds them at different times, whether you're young. I found them in my 20s. There's people, I'm in my 40s and I started developing comics in my 40s. Do it, man.
Yeah.
You only live once, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a story inside of you and your son knows what he's doing. So I'm pretty sure you wanted to do comics. Right. You could pick someone's brain. So
right.
Come along. You belong. Right?
True. Yeah.
Then you can do cons together. He should just do cons with you anyway. That would be super cool.
Oh yeah. Well, last year when I was trying to like just make awareness out, other than doing podcasts, I was going to like, I think I went to like 6 different cons, just sort of around close by, like 3 hours was the furthest I went. And I was just like, hey, let me see what you have. And hey, you mind looking at mine? You know, trying to build relationships with other creators. And yeah, if I didn't do that, I definitely wouldn't have gone where I am now. And that's how I'm in the writing group. And that's been huge. Everybody's constantly talking, explaining what they've done and how they're doing it. So I don't talk a lot in the group, but I'm always taking notes. Like if someone puts a link in there of like, hey, use this vendor, I'm copying and pasting in my notes of my phone. And I have this entire list of all these different things that I could possibly do. And yeah, I'd be lost without it for sure.
George, awesome. Let's do it. I really think that with cons too, it's like you'll have a great con where you're selling a ton, and then you'll also go to a con where there's nothing, there's just lulls, or maybe, you know, it's conflicting with something else that's big in town, and you might have not as many people. So it's like that's the time where you network with the people that are there. I've met so many people, and I've done work with people that I've met at cons because the con was slow. You know what I mean? So there's always opportunities at cons, you know, depending on busy, slow, whatever. So,
well, like the library thing I did last week, I wasn't in the con, like I wasn't tabling, but I was talking to the guys, and now they're like sharing my stuff all the time. I've got 2 of them are backers now. I got their books, of course. Cool. So now we're talking more, and I'm in a local writing group now too. When they're talking and thinking about things and like cons they're trying to build. Like this was the first year that they've done it. So they're going to build this con up and, you know, be bigger. And next year I'll be part of that. So, yeah.
That's cool. I always like going to new cons because you never know what you're going to get. Like I went to Texoma this year, and Durant, Oklahoma doesn't even have a comic book store. So the people that came through were like, wow, what's this? You know, like
this whole new world.
Yeah, they had never been to a Comic-Con because one had never been to Durant, Oklahoma. And it was pretty interesting. The people there were very welcoming and like very excited to have creators there. And it was a blast. But it's always fun to be in something from the start. And then because sometimes the bigger ones are intimidating. Like I don't know about you, but like someone was like, hey, when are you going to come to New York Comic-Con? And I was like, never.
Yeah.
Like
well, actually, so fun story about that sort of. So I've been to New York Comic-Con, you know, just flying. Yeah, and it's insane. I mean, you're basically, I literally just put my arms out and just have to bump through people because they're just everywhere. Yeah. But it is awesome to see all those artists and the writers and everything down there. But I'm going to go this year because I'm actually, like I said earlier, I'm part of Scott Snyder's class. And actually, I didn't say this earlier, but I meet with Scott Snyder every week, or not every week, I wish, every month about the book. I'm in that tier of his group. And at New York Comic-Con, if you're there and you're part of that group, then you go hang out dinner with him and possibly 2 other either artists or writers that are his friends, and he pays for dinner and drinks and everything, and just hang out with other writers that are in the group and with them. So I plan on going to New York Comic-Con for that purpose this year. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up at that time because I want to hear all about that. That
Right.
sounds
Oh
like
yeah.
an amazing opportunity. So
Yeah.
how involved is he in your script? Is he
So
pretty
like he'll
hands-on?
make pointers. So like say like I didn't have all 12 outlined at the beginning, and he said in December, he's like, for that meeting, he said, well, you have all these ideas, why don't you put them all, on paper instead of just swimming in your head, that you want it to be
Yeah.
12 issues, but what are these 12 issues actually? So he told me in a month, he wanted me to have the entire thing outlined so that he could read over it and see how it progresses and how it makes sense. And him and his assistant Tyler, they like it a lot too. I'm actually, I was supposed to talk to him last Friday, but his whole family was sick, so I'll be talking with him this week about issue 3. And then when I go to the full lettered book of issue 2, if he sees anything that doesn't make sense or he doesn't understand as a reader, then he'll tell me, hey, why don't you work on that and fix that before you go to print? And that's how I did for the first issue. He changed a couple minor things, nothing crazy, but said, hey, this would make more sense here, or why don't you talk about this? And so he's sort of my editor to the side. It's really cool to meet with him every month. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you plan on going with The Fog Within? I know you said 12 issues. That's kind of like your first arc? Is there going to be more arcs? Or is there going to be offshoots like Epsilon story? I know we've already talked about a little bit about that, but other things coming from this world, or are we going to it's done and we're moving on to something else?
So the plan is, so each arc will be 4 issues. At the end of the 12 issues, that would be a complete story. Or if I have a fan base at that point and making a few dollars, then I can continue on at that point as well. So it's not like everyone's dead at the end. Okay, can't do anything else type thing. There might be people dying, but it's not going to be the whole world. That's not going to be the ending.
It's like, I killed everybody. The world's over. Sorry.
Last page. Sorry. That's just like the last page. Sorry, everybody.
It's just a mushroom cloud.
Right.
That would be.
Yeah. So yeah, I could keep on going. So we'll see. I mean, I don't have any plans on doing any other kind of stories outside of this universe, but I have some offshoots. So Epsilon's story, I have one for the origin of these 2 pets that I want to put in either an anthology or something else that I'd love to do, just to expand the universe, because I have all these thoughts, but 24 pages isn't enough space.
I feel you. There's a lots of different mediums that I see creators using, and I just want to throw them out there just to give you ideas because I have friends that do comics, but they also do games, like role play games or tabletop games, so people can actually make decisions in the world that you've built. I myself do a couple different things. I do riddles, I do short films that expand the world, and I have a choose your own adventure book. So choose your own is not quite tabletop game, but still lets the person walk around and make choices in that world. So what else? What else do people do? So it's just there's different mediums that you can do, like video or offshoot books or tabletop games stuff. That's what I commonly see people do to kind of expand, because I agree with you. 24 pages just isn't enough. And sometimes even the arc, we're following a specific character, but what if there's a different, something happening on the other side of the world, or this is, the specific story that we're following, but what about what's happening on the sideline? Like Epsilon is would be a great example. It's I want to know more about that character. So that would just be really cool to expand the world. And from what I've heard, you've thought about a ton of stuff. So it would be cool to see what else you can do.
Yeah. We'll see. Time will tell. Time and if I have any money.
Yeah, that's the hard part too.
Yeah. If I had all the money in the world, if I won the lottery, I could do all of this easily. I like the idea of all of it, but it's just a matter of, I don't want to go in the hole too far.
I know.
Yeah.
But hopefully the Kickstarter, the goal is, of course, to have it pay for itself. And then if there's extra, then we can keep going. But you're at that 10-day left on your campaign, and that's usually when it starts to pick up again. Like that
Yeah.
plateau was always,
That dead
and we all
zone.
get them. We all get them. So it's, you know, it is what it is, but it's like, oh my Lord, 10 days.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it'll start picking up and seeing some momentum and close out strong.
Yep. Yeah. Kickstarter, was it kicktracks or whatever.com?
Yeah.
So far, it's saying, you know, I'm trending the right way. So at least that's a positive. But yeah.
What is it? I forget what the statistic is, but if you get to like 75%, you're like 90% guaranteed to fund. It's usually that. It's like if you get over 75%, it's more than likely to fund. You know what I mean? If you're below that, then it's like it could be iffy, but you're well within that. So
yeah, I'm at 70% right now with 10 days.
oh yeah,
so
you're good.
Yeah,
you're good. And you're 10 days out, so it'll start. That last 24 hours is always nuts.
Yeah, my biggest backer was the last 5 minutes of the entire campaign. I was like, where were you? Like, yeah, I was
where
like,
were you
are
in
you
the beginning?
Yeah.
And I always have to like remind people every so often, like how Kickstarter functions, where I'm just like, hey,
Right.
you have to like train your returning backers. Like you should be here on the first day. You'll get your biggest discount, but it also will help the project get seen more if we
Right.
fund early, because that's when Kickstarter's algorithm will push us to the front. So the goal is to be, you know, just launched and then funded and then project we love and then closing out soon, and like all of those categories kind of push you to the front and help you find more visibility.
Yeah.
Have you thought about using any of the other platforms like Indiegogo or Zoop or Fund My Comic?
I thought about Indiegogo just for like the second chance type thing. But I haven't really seen, and I've seen so many podcasts talking about it. You don't really see anybody that you had to bring your own audience there. Whereas Kickstarter has its own audience and automatically finds you sometimes. Not all of your campaign, but finds a lot of you. Whereas Indiegogo, if you don't bring your own audience, then you're not getting anything over there. So I thought about it. I started a page for the first one, but I never did it. And I'll probably just stay on Kickstarter, honestly, because that's the best.
Where I have found my happy medium, and I feel like, I don't know, I think like, and to me, I think it's just like I'm afraid to rock the boat. Where if I took the main campaign and went to Fund My Comic, would my audience follow?
Right.
Because then you're asking them to like create a new account. You know what I mean? And if it's like any kind of hiccup in the road, they might just be like, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
Easier go back to Kickstarter for the next one.
Yeah.
So,
if you change it, then who knows?
Right. Who knows if everybody will come? But I feel like what you said about Indiegogo matches my experience, where I did like a second chance campaign. I did some really exclusive covers and I only had like 8 backers.
Yeah.
But it was the 8 backers, I knew exactly who they were, and they only showed up while I was doing a podcast. If I wasn't actively pushing the campaign, nobody saw it. So, but I wasn't trying to push it too hard because I was testing the waters to see like what Indiegogo would bring. Fund My Comic, what makes you think it's only in one place? I don't know. It's not that. Pops appeared. Go to Fund My Comic. If your audience likes your stuff, they will follow. Will they though? I don't know. It's always that that fear of change, and will people come? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
it's like
I
the
don't
idea
know.
of just like on Twitter and Facebook and everything, when you're posting your stuff, where do you put the link? Because if you make it too hard for someone to look at the link, they're going to just bypass and just move on to the next thing. So just like putting the comments or putting at the top or putting underneath of whatever picture, you know, that just by itself is hard to get people to click for anything. So then moving to the next website. Yeah, you don't know until you try it though too. So
yeah, both Pops and Glenn have a good point. Like if we don't do it though, we'll never know.
Yeah,
it's hard though when you're dealing with funding. You know what I mean? Because it's like I need those dollars to make the comic, and if I don't get those same dollars at a new platform, then I might not be able to do the same thing that I have been doing. I don't know, but it's always we'll never know. I buy stuff like where it is. I could care less which platform it's on. Yeah, but you're well versed in all of that. I find like a lot of my big backers are boomers. Not saying anything bad about it, but they get set in their ways. And a lot of times they call me as their backing so I can help them. Even though I'm on my 5th campaign, they still call me to be like, and then I do this. I'm like, yep, then you do that.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
So that's how it goes. I don't know. We'll have to experiment, but that's part of what we were talking about, where it's like, as soon as you figure it out, then we got to change it all, because there's always something different and new and maybe better, but it's like, you don't know until you try it. So
true.
Any words of advice for someone who would just be starting out, Sean?
I mean, I would say if you just have the idea and you haven't moved on like further with it, just like it's always in your head, just do it. Because if you don't start the process, then you'll never get it done. So that's what I was saying, like when I was going through the remodel at work and didn't know exactly what I was doing. If I just stopped at any point, it would have been, I'd still be on the first issue, just pondering about what if. So just do it is the biggest thing. And you'll figure it out as you go. That's my biggest advice.
That's good advice. Same thing, like pull the trigger, fill the sandbox, whatever you need to do, just get started and don't stop. Be too stubborn to quit.
Right. Exactly. I mean, the crazy thought when I first started,
in here, like, do this. Pops is wonderful about promoting books, and it's really not about which platform they're on to me either. I know Kickstarter takes a good chunk of money, but they have good visibility. That's true. If you want us to promote it, we will.
Yeah.
And says, if you go, just start the process of going to he wants me to go. So, Sean, where can people follow you, of course, on your social media, so we can follow your journey and stay in touch?
Yeah. So I'm Sean Wood _writer, pretty much at every place you can think of. So Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, even on Reddit. I've actually found some backers on Reddit, which has been surprising.
Wow.
Just stuff like that. Just pretty much anywhere I can think of, I can put Instagram. It's all Sean Wood _writer.
Very cool. All right, everybody, that is the show. Chicken nuggets. That's all I have to say about that. Just remember, next week we're going to have another indie guest. We're going to keep talking, nerding out, and having a good time on the Tuesday Morning Brew. Join me. And all the wonderful shows on the Madness. If you have a show and you're interested in bringing it to the network, come along. You belong. We have a great place where people can follow you and bring your greatness to the Madness. Just remember, we also have a GoFundMe going to start the business for the Madness Entertainment Group. Super important that we continue to do that, because we are working our way towards the Roku channel. Come along, you belong on the Roku. That's the next step, and we're going to get there. That's it. Make sure you're nice to each other, be excellent to each other, and kiss your babies. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit CB4